Number 10. The original inventor of the fidget spinner probably hasn't made a dime from its extreme popularity. Now this one is a little up in arms, as at the time of this video, there is some debate about whether the designs are similar enough to be considered the same. As the story goes, in 1993, Catherine Hettinger filed a patent for a spinning toy which description and images roughly cover the concept of the modern-day popular fidget spinner. As you can see by design alone, they are fairly different, but you should also be able to see that the similarities are close enough that Catherine probably felt pretty robbed of her idea. After all, she had taken the toy to Hasbro in the 90s to try and sell the patent, but they didn't think it would become popular enough to warrant the investment. Since Catherine wasn't going to make much money off of them, she gave up paying the patent maintenance fee in 2005, which officially allowed toy companies to do whatever the hell they wanted with her idea. An important note is that even if she had kept up the fee, due to the USA's regulation of a 20-year limit on patents, she would have lost her rights to the idea in 2013 anyways. Number 9. Their health benefits are debatable. While a majority of kids playing with fidget spinners are just using them as a toy, spinners are helping kids with ADHD and autism, right? Right? Well, it's honestly quite debatable, as we have both parents and experts on both sides of the discussion. Many parents with ADHD and autistic children cite them as great distractors, as they give the child something to do with their hands and attention. But is this a good thing? Some wouldn't say so. The senior director of New York's Child Mind Institute, Dr. David Anderson, has on multiple occasions stated that while it can help distract children, it isn't a cure-all. He goes on to say that at his institute, they would assign children with autism, anxiety, or ADHD a kit of sorts, containing all sorts of items, such as music, stress balls, and yes, fidget spinners. But they are only a part of the treatment, and we quote, "If something appears like it's an easy fix for mental health difficulties, it's probably too good to be true." Number 8. They're nothing new. This one probably won't come as too much of a shocker, but guys, fidget spinners are not anything new. They're just handheld tops, or stringless yo-yos. There hasn't been any major technical breakthrough to make these things possible. You'll see advertisements for state-of-the-art tops with aircraft-grade aluminum, but they're still not anything special. Tops are one of humankind's oldest inventions, with rudimentary tops being dated to over 6,000 years old. The little doohickey that makes fidget spinners work, the ball bearing, is also pretty old. Well, relatively of course. It was invented in the early 1800s. Yeah, this is kind of obvious, but anyone boasting that these toys are revolutionary in any way are pretty much full of themselves, and likely trying to sell you something overpriced. Number 7. A handful of kids have hurt themselves with them. As is to be expected with all new fads and toys, people have already managed to find a way to misuse them and cause themselves serious injury. The majority of these injuries are just kids using the toy unsafely. But as you will see, some people are just plain stupid. One of the first fidget spinner injuries came from a New York girl who shattered one of her front teeth after moving the toy too close to her mouth. This will reportedly cost the family more than $2,000 in dental work. There's also news of a young boy who threw the toy too high and managed to catch it with his eye. While he is relatively fine, eye doctors explained to the mother that if the spinner had hit his eye slightly off angle, he would have permanently lost vision in that eye. There's also the case of a 10-year-old Texas girl who swallowed one of her spinner's ball bearings, and it got caught in her throat. Luckily, doctors were able to extract the bearing without a major surgery, but things could have turned out far, far worse if the parents had not immediately rushed her to the hospital. Number 6. They may actually be creating a mental health problem. You know how we were saying that their health benefits are debatable? Some experts have taken it one step further and have accused them of creating problems. Apparently, the US is having a pseudo-health epidemic, self-diagnosed mental disorders. This is in line with the prevalence of mental health diagnoses, which, as some believe, have caused many young adults to believe that minor quirks in their personality and behavior are indicators of serious life-changing diseases or issues. Ever had a friend say something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm so OCD," when all they did was straighten a pencil? It's a lot like that. As a hypothetical, imagine a student who's perfectly mentally fine, but asks their parents to buy them a spinner for their ADHD. Now in class, they're playing with their spinner and devoting all of their attention to it. Instead of paying attention to the classroom speaker, they're focusing on a toy and not really learning. Do this enough, and you'll give yourself what doctors are now calling pseudo-ADHD. Or, more plainly, the compulsion to pretend that you have a life-changing mental disorder. We know this sounds a little bit crazy, but it's very similar to the placebo effect, just like in reverse. Number 5. Some $10 spinners cost only 50 cents to make. Right, so here's the question that almost everyone considers when they're about to buy something. How much does this thing actually cost to the makers? Now, while knowing the markup on an item will almost always make your wallet cry, there's usually a fairly good reason for the price. After all, the price has to include and cover marketing, research and development, employees' salaries, manufacturing costs. Yeah, you get the idea. However, with some items, this markup gets a little bit crazy. Let's take, for example, fidget spinners. We'll assume everyone's seen this classic design. Components-wise, it's fairly simple. An injection molded body, 2 rubbery pads for the middle, and a spinning ball bearing. Shall we do a cost analysis? For this, we're going to assume that these parts are being bulk ordered, probably from China. The injection molded body, well, ABS plastic is dirt cheap, especially for molding. So we'll estimate, around 20 cents. The caps, 5 cents each at most. We'll also probably need around 10 cents of glue or so. Finally, the big ticket item, the bearing. While most hobby stores will charge you a couple bucks for one, if the manufacturer is going for the absolute cheapest, they can get by paying just over 15 cents a bearing. In this case, we're looking at around 40 cents in raw materials. The company can of course put some better bearings in there, but many don't. From what we could find, proper high-quality bearings were not found in any spinners costing less than $10 on Amazon. And hey, why go through all the trouble of buying the materials and assembling them when there are Chinese companies that will sell you bulk spinners for just over $1 a piece? We found these exact same spinners going for over $12 on other marketplaces. Number 4. They're being banned in schools. Across the States and the UK, fidget spinners are being banned in more and more classrooms. Why? Well, for starters, they're a very flashy fidget toy. Compared to a fidget cube or a tangle toy, which have been popular toys for children and adults with ADHD, the spinner takes up quite a bit more room, and by design, can't really be used discreetly. As such, not only is the child using it focusing more on it than their schoolwork, other students will likely be similarly distracted. Additionally, most spinners are not completely silent when spun, and as such produce a faint grinding or swishing sound, which, once again, often disturbs other students. There's also the safety concerns as mentioned a few points ago, and the fact that schools love outlawing the day's newest fads. While most articles report that teachers are the ones putting forward the bans, at least one UK school cites a student complaint as the main cause. Number 3. Designer fidget spinners exist, and they cost hundreds of dollars. Got more money than you need? Are plastic spinners too poverty level for you? Why not buy some designer level spinners, made out of heavy metals? We'll admit these spinners look really cool, but are they worth hundreds of dollars? Well, there are a whole bunch of sites dedicated to this sort of thing. We found spinnerlist.com to have the widest selection. Here you can take a look at designer quality fidget spinners in 4 categories of price ranges, segmented in 50s. Take note of the over $200 section, where they sell spinners up to, at the time for this video, $700 US. I mean, these look really cool, but $700? Seriously? Given by looking at the social media and YouTube pages for these creators, each looks to be handmade and come in beautiful containers. But still, $700? Number 2. People are making bladed fidget spinners for some reason. With Overwatch's extreme popularity since release, the character Genji has created a spike in the popularity of Japanese weaponry, namely shuriken. His are rather special, as instead of the traditional 4 or 8 points, Genji's shuriken has 3 points. You know what else has 3 points? Fidget spinners. Therefore, the dozen or so videos of people weaponizing their fidget spinners and hurting themselves could be Overwatch's fault. Probably. Well, probably not. But to be honest, we're just grasping at straws to try and speculate why the hell anybody is gluing razor blades to fidget spinners. From what we've seen, people are mostly doing this to show off their mad skills, much like butterfly knife tricks. There are, however, those special few who are attaching the blades, spinning it up to full speed, and then, sticking their fingers in it. For some reason, I don't know. There haven't been many reports of serious injuries from people doing this, but we know that at least one teenager has had to go to the hospital to get stitches because of these upgrades. Number 1. They've taken over Amazon. Fidget spinners have taken over the Amazon marketplace, or well, the toys and games section. At the time of this video, every single item in the top 10 for toys and games is a fidget spinner, and with the exception of one fidget cube. This trend extends into the top 20. In fact, as a bit of irony, the first to break the fidget chain is Cards Against Humanity. We had a look at the top 100 items in this section, and 70 of them are fidget spinners, with another 8 more being fidget cubes. While we couldn't find exact stats on how they fare compared to everything else on Amazon, warehouse insiders have stated that they've been shipping more fidget spinners than any other category of item in the past few weeks.